Hey everyone, welcome back in. I hope you are enjoying your Saturday. Thanks for checking out another episode. My name is Icon. In today's video, I feel like there are some rosters that are really starting to fall into place. Just as early as a few days ago, we weren't quite sure on a couple teams. There were a lot of rumors out there, but I feel like some dominoes are starting to fall and the rosters are starting to solidify themselves a little bit. So the first thing that I want to talk about today, which is probably the biggest news, is we got this tweet out of Octane, which just a couple minutes later was deleted. Of course, there are still screen caps out there, but he said, well, it happened again. And we all know that heading into Modern Warfare, they had a team together and it just didn't work out right at the last second, which is how he ended up with, which I guess you could call a subpar squad on the Seattle Surge. Going into this year, he did seem to have a squad together. We'll look at that squad in a second, but the other thing that backs up this tweet is right around the same time, we got this out of Pristini. Pristini is one of the players that's rumored to be playing alongside Octane, and he just said sigh over and over again. So you can tell that with these two, obviously something's not right. So with that out of the way, let's take a peek at these current rosters and let's talk about how things seems like it fell into place. So to start off here, we've talked about these rosters as early as 2 days ago, 1 day ago when these really first came out. But as we're looking at this, the first thing that I want to point out is if we're looking at these teams together, this is really the spots that everybody was looking at, right? TJ, Kenny, Slasher, they were all re-signed along with Draza. But with those four, obviously Draza really wasn't going to be in that flex role. He's probably there just because he had a really good end of Modern Warfare and he's a good option for a substitute if something was to happen. But at the beginning here, this was where you'd expect Priesta to go, right? So Priesta is up here. You just figured he would be in here and they would join that OGLA Thieves roster. Well, that didn't come to fruition. Just a couple days after that was rumored, there were more rumors that came out that said Priesta was exploring his options, wanted to see what he could get from around the league, which is when this right here, him to Minnesota, started to come to light. So we know that Attach is not going to be that fourth player for the New York Subliners. So right here, when we're talking about New York, you just kind of figured that Attach would be there because of the history that he has with Clay and Zuma, and you pair them up with Mac. You've got a pretty good squad there. See, there's like all these things are kind of intertied, so we're trying to talk through it. But Major Maniac got dropped from Atlanta, so Atlanta could pick up Arcides. Accuracy got dropped from New York, along with Temp, right? They got released on the same day. So when Priesta decided not to go there, that opened up this roster spot right here. Now, if you're thinking about this from Gunless's point of view, first of all, last year it was rumored pretty early on that Gunless might be going to Seattle. And then halfway through the year, when Seattle really needed help, they could have traded for Gunless when he got sent to the bench for Chicago. And if you're Gunless, that might be something that sticks with you, right? They could have picked me up. They could have traded for me or whatever. I could have played the second half of the year on Seattle, but instead, I just sat on the bench. So maybe that's something that was just playing in the back of his mind. So obviously, we're looking at Gunless right here in this flex role. Now, again, another thing, if you're thinking about this from Gunless's point of view, would it be a better squad, at least just initially based off of the last couple of years here? Would you rather play with Octane, Looney, and Pristini? That's one squad. Or would you rather have Slasher, Kenny, and TJ as your teammates? I think that Octane's probably a little bit better than Slasher, right? So that would give them one advantage up here. But the other two, even though Kenny and TJ were up and down, right? They were a roller coaster the entirety of the Modern Warfare year. Sometimes they'd come out and drop 1.4s in matches. Sometimes they'd come out and drop 0.7s. And their success of OGLA was really determined on how those two played, just because Slasher was so consistent throughout the entirety of the year. But if I'm Gunless and I'm looking at this and I have the option to fill in this flex role here at OGLA, I'm not sure that I would stick with Seattle, right? If the option's there, you can talk about contracts and what's going on there and what team offered more money or whatever. That's kind of beside the point at this point in time. But really what I'm looking at is I think TJ and Kenny are absolutely better than Pristini and Looney, especially how Kenny ended the year. Kenny had it was just a phenomenal showing at Champs at the latter half of the year. So this is kind of how I think things are starting to fall. I think Gunless realizes that maybe I'm like a last option here at Seattle. So rather than stick with this squad, maybe I could go somewhere that might be better for me long-term. I can team up with Slasher, TJ, and Kenny. And now OGLA, I would have to say that would put them in like the top 6, right? I don't feel comfortable putting teams other than like Atlanta and maybe Dallas in like top 2 or 3 or 4, somewhere in there. But I would definitely say with that roster, OGLA is definitely in the top half of the league teams. That's just how I feel at the moment. A couple other things that I want to mention. By the way, comments down below. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think it's right for Gunless? If there was some sort of commitment for him to back out, go to OGLA. Contracts haven't been signed yet, right? It's only as of the day you're watching this. It's only September 12th. So free agency starts on September 14th. He does have a couple days to change his mind before he actually has to put pen to paper. But let me know what you think about that. Other thing that I wanted to mention real quick is obviously we know that Shawnee was extended with London, and in a tweet that they just had, I should have pulled it up. I don't know why I didn't. I wasn't really thinking, but in a tweet that they put out just here in the last day or two, there was a picture of Shawnee and Dylan and nobody else. So Dylan's not confirmed to be back yet, but why would London tweet a picture recently about, it was some sort of announcement or a partnership. I don't remember off the top of my head exactly what it was, but it had Shawnee and Dylan and nobody else. So if Dylan wasn't going to be coming back, why wouldn't you just put Shawnee in the picture, right? So it does seem like Dylan's another spot there. I would like to see Alex. Again, I said that when I was on the Minnesota Rocker podcast that when it came to Alex, I could see him going back to London. So hopefully he goes there, and then we'll just decide. I don't know. We'll have to figure out what goes on with that flex position there at London. Last thing that I want to point out before we go ahead and close up this video is we got this tweet out of WUSKINZ that says, when I go full-time with this streaming stuff, we're going to do it proper. Believe me, when I get home, it's going to be different. Trust me, I can't wait. And I don't know. This is, to me, it's just kind of sad to see. I really did. I was hoping that they would get a chance. I wanted to see WUSKINZ and Scrap lead London into the next title. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen. I can't blame London, right? I mean, it's their leadership. Seems like with Shawnee and Dylan, they'll have at least a nice start to their roster. So we'll see what happens. But there was a reply in the comments that says, hope you're not going full-time just yet. Still got to go win champs soon. Then WUSKINZ says, I won't be playing next year, and I never, ever thought I would be even thinking like that after this year. So, yeah, I don't know. It kind of stinks to see. I really did want to see WUSKINZ and Scraps, those twins, just have more storylines going into 2021, but it doesn't appear that that's going to happen. So, thoughts on this? Thoughts earlier on Gunless? Did he sketch away from Seattle? Would you blame him if he did, if he gets to team up with that team at OGLA? I think it's probably a better squad. Let me know in the comments below what exactly you're thinking. If you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm your one-stop shop for all things Call of Duty League. With that, make sure you leave a like. It helps out the channel. Thank you guys so much for the support recently. We will see you in tomorrow's upload.